Does that mean we're on?
I hope so.
Does that mean we're on?
I hope so. I trust nothing anymore, but I sure hope
Please
so.
stand by. Every TV station had a graphic.
Card.
Yeah, a card. Please stand by. We'll resume operations as soon as possible.
Yep. All right. That's one. We'll take one. One thing is working. I accept one thing working. I'm not a picky person. I'll take one.
Better than no things working.
That's pretty much where we're at. I will gladly accept any of these working. There we go. Okay.
Your darling daughter Daisy is being well cared for
by Grandma.
By Grandma.
And we just have to pray. And if you hear screaming, you know. How's it going? It's going. Hello from Florida. Hello in Florida. How are things in Florida? I don't understand how it's March. Like I get that time works somehow, but I'm really unclear as to how we've entered March. I'm kind of amazed.
Me too.
We're a week away today, a week away from the Oscars, which also cannot come soon enough.
Yes. I think a lot of people would agree with you.
Man. Well, this, we've talked about this. It's such a strange thing because our universe here in LA, but also just if you're in the film industry, everything right now is Oscar, 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 Oscar. And which is fun for a while. And then by the time you actually get to them, it's like, for the love of Christ, like just, I don't want to hear any more speeches. I don't want to hear, I'm just so done. The fun thing to me, though, and I'm excited about this, is that we actually do not know for sure who is going to win 2 of the categories. And I am really happy about that because something that I don't love when we all know. I get that sometimes it just is what it is. If somebody's winning every single award across the board, then like Da'Vine Joy Randolph, it's pretty clear she's going to win. I don't think that's a stretch.
She has won every award for which she has been
like top, bottom,
nominated.
Sideways. She's won everything.
Yep.
And then Robert Downey Jr. has won pretty much everything.
Most.
Not all, but damn near. And so the 2 categories of leading actress and leading actor are the ones that we don't know. And I am thrilled by that because it's nice. It's nice that there's going to be a little bit of a surprise. I would love for it to be Paul Giamatti. I think that would be neat because he's such a talented guy. At the same time, Cillian Murphy is one of the greatest actors that's out there. So I don't think anybody would be upset if he won. So it's nice. As I say, I use that word just because that's what it feels like, is that everyone's deserving.
Yeah. Yes. No miscarriage of justice is possible.
Yeah. Chris is saying, this is the first Oscar ceremony I have no interest in, not interested in the winners. I get that. I understand that. What does that mean? See, we always talk about this time of year because it is such a significant thing that goes on in our bubble world. But there did not used to be 8,000 other awards.
No, they've grown.
That's not how that worked.
They've grown exponentially in number.
So it used to be that you had a handful. You had your critics organizations, though there were not nearly as many of those either.
Right.
Because there's now all of these other ones.
Didn't always get much attention.
Never.
Yeah, the producers never got any attention.
No, PGAs, things like that. Even SAG. I mean, it wasn't. SAG was televised on TNT. Like, it's not.
No, the Screen Actors Guild Award is relatively recent.
Yeah.
And it being televised is relatively recent.
So it's like, it went from being, okay, there are these handful of shows that go on where people win their awards.
Right.
And that's it. Now, every weekend and halftime during the week as well, there's an award show. There's 4 in a weekend.
I got to chat with. Can I name drop or no?
By all means.
May I name drop?
You may.
I talked to Sally Field.
Yes, this is one of
the year she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Lincoln.
We tell this story every year because it is one that is relevant, let's say.
And it had been I'm getting all my numbers are going to be wrong. It had been something like 20 years
Yeah.
since her last Oscar go round.
Yeah.
And she said, I don't remember anything. I had like one gown and then I had the other gown.
Which, what she said was that when you asked her, how is it all going? Not in an interview setting, just as two humans, she said, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to clarify that is because she wasn't complaining.
No.
There was no
No, she was-
negativity or complaining
no.
in it.
She was grateful for the nomination,
You know,
grateful for the recognition
but
in a role that she fought for
yeah,
with Steven Spielberg to get the role.
yeah. It's just that it is a lot. And now, because there are so many more awards and award shows, people are they're flown all over the world.
Yep.
They're having to run here, there, the other place. And yes, are these champagne problems? Sure.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's a lot. It's a lot to have to jump from here to here to here to here to here. So when the Oscars happen, it means the end. It means the end.
People
for this.
It means a lot of people who haven't been able to get any work done
Yeah.
can finally get back to work.
Yep.
Making more movies.
Yeah.
And television shows.
Well, do you remember we interviewed Jordan Peele just a couple of weeks before the Oscars when he was nominated for Get Out. And I said to him, and again, he was not complaining, but we were sort of saying, what's it been like to have to go on this press tour that has been months? And he admitted, the reason I keep saying like there's no complaining, because it's really important you understand that he's not going, oh, it's been so hard to promote my movie. But he goes, yeah, I'm really excited to do something else.
Yeah.
Because remember, especially if you're a director and you've written what you've directed and all the rest of it, you could have been working on this for 5 years, 10, God knows how many years. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. And so as much as it's really exciting, it's also really nice when it's over. And I'm looking
Which is
forward
why
to
when,
that.
when on several occasions, I and then we have been present at the end of the ceremony.
That's my favorite.
Watching people leave. And they all look so happy. They all look so relieved.
They're so thrilled it's over.
Whether they've won or not.
Yeah. Well, I will say one of the coolest things that has ever happened was we were coming down from the press room.
Yep.
At Hollywood and Highland, and onto the carpet where there's no longer any press. There's just valets going to get your cars, which is very funny. And down comes Barry Jenkins, who we've known for a very, very, very long time, with his Oscar. And I took a picture of you and Barry with his brand new Oscar. And we got to give him a big hug and tell him how thrilled we were for him. And that was really special.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, working the awards. I always said, I love working these shows. And I have so much fun seeing everybody in what is a really joyful moment. So to me, I will work them till I die, because I just think it's such a blast.
Or die while working.
Also that, there's a solid chance that will happen.
You worked the Film Independent Spirit Awards last weekend.
We were not with you last weekend. I just want to, before I lose it, Nick Kramer said, do you guys see John Musker's new short, I'm Hip? I'm a bit disappointed that it didn't get nominated. Not only did you see it, you went to a screening that John had for just a bunch of his friends. And he signed a cell for you.
A make-believe cell.
Yeah.
Repro. But my wife and I are actually in it.
Yeah.
What he did was, it's 4 minutes long. It's a visualization of the wonderful song by Bob Dorough and memory, and Dave Frischberg. I got it there.
Yeah.
Called I'm Hip. And it's Dave Frischberg singing it. And if you're going to have a hip character or a hip character, he makes my cat.
Yeah.
It's his cat singing this song.
Yeah.
And after he had sort of storyboarded and figured out the general outline of it, he went back and filled in all the incidental and background characters with very exact caricatures of friends, family, colleagues. And So I measured it. I think we're on screen for a quarter of a second,
Probably. Yeah.
but we're there. We're there.
Man. So I just want to make sure we got that. It's a wonderful short, and he is a wonderful guy.
John
And
Musker and his partner, longtime partner Ron Clements, directed
John and Ron.
everything.
They directed it. They did direct everything.
The Little Mermaid.
Yep.
Not Aladdin.
I can't remember. I haven't slept enough to be able to tell you
Disney-
anything.
Of the Disney Renaissance.
Yeah.
They were like master builders.
Big parts.
Yeah.
Did you like Dune 2? It has now come out, so you can say that.
Yes. I did not care for Dune.
I like
2.
you said yes. No, he did not care for
And
it.
and I commend you to read a great, brilliantly written review, which expresses my feelings, written by my friend and colleague Michael Srago. Michael has
Spell the last name.
Sragow, and he wrote it for the Film Comment newsletter, which is a free newsletter you can get from the Film at Lincoln Center people. Google any of those things. Film at Lincoln Center, Film Comment. I found it by Googling Film Comment. But you want the Film Comment newsletter. And the current one, which comes out, I think, every Thursday, has this beautifully written.
John did co-direct Aladdin. You're
Yeah.
right on that one.
And
Thanks, Nick.
it says what I felt. I really liked the first Dune, not having read Frank Herbert's book and no expectations.
Hmm.
I thought it was really, really good. And this one just left me cold. I wasn't rooting for anybody. I couldn't really connect with.
I'm really interested to see how Scott feels about it. My husband loved the first film, read those books, so I hope he gets a chance to see it on a big screen.
Yes, I hope so too. And
and where is he today? He's working the Kung Fu Panda 4 premiere. He is working Kung Fu Panda 4.
if you wanted to look at the non-glamorous side of show business, follow her husband around.
Though I do think there are certain aspects that are very glamorous. Like he worked an event for a jewelry company the other day, and each piece was valued at over like between $500,000 and $1 million, and each necklace and bracelet had its own security guard. And I just said to my husband, I'm trying to imagine someone walks up to you and you're waiting for your client and they hand you like a ring and they go, "This is your client. Don't let it get hurt. Anybody touches it, we're all dying." So that's where he is today.
I know that
Justin didn't
Justin Chang didn't like it either, but I haven't had time to read his review.
Yeah.
It's either his first or second review in his new position at the New Yorker magazine.
Yep.
And we are so happy for him. And I hope he enjoys working for the New Yorker.
Yes.
I know I will enjoy reading him there.
Yes. Victoria, I have no idea with all the things that he works, the things that my husband works.
And he's very blasé about it.
He's the worst. He gives us nothing. He was, do you know where he was last week?
No.
Madonna's house. Do you know why you don't know that? Because he didn't say anything about it. I only know because I ask a lot of questions. You're slumping, by the way. You're not only slumping, you're sideways.
I'm trying not
Your
to
foot,
slump.
put your foot in the right place.
Oh, it's gonna...
Hang on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to roll it back. Move your foot. There you go.
Okay. Now
Better.
I'll sit.
Better.
She keeps me straight in more ways than one.
I got to. The company he works for. So my husband does lighting. My husband, I like to say, a la King of the Hill, he does light bulbs and light bulb accessories. If you don't get that joke, I can't explain it to you. So they work all kinds of events. They do premieres, but they also do really expensive parties,
Trade
birthday
shows.
parties, all kinds of stuff. So he was a little over a week ago, he was in Mexico for someone's obscenely expensive birthday party. Gotta love it. Very amusing story. So yeah, last week he's at Madonna's house and he'll be back there this week because she puts on a big Oscar party.
Yeah.
And they are doing the light bulbs for the Oscar party.
Just go back quarter of a turn. Dune 2, disappointing to me in that I didn't connect with it the way I did with the first one.
Yeah.
And
Chris says, in reading the Dune reviews, it feels like some of the critics are convincing themselves to try and like it. I agree with you.
that could well be.
I read a couple of the reviews.
Because everyone respects Denis Villeneuve. He's a very good filmmaker.
Someone needs to call him Dennis. I just think it'd be funny. I just think it'd be really funny for someone to be like, "Listen, Dennis." No, it's it's one of those things. I think it's a movie that maybe you can play the game where you can say that you respect it but don't like it.
Yeah, I could play that game.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of interesting. I mean, Stellan Skarsgård plays an outlandish character. It was the size of the.
Sorry. Ken says Madonna was saying, "Do you know who was at my house last week? Jesse Malton's husband." Can you imagine? Please, it's so funny. What's hilarious is that half the places they go to, all they see is like the tennis court, which I love. Again, he gives me no dirt. I'm like, "What did the house look like?" I don't know. Was it big? Probably. You are useless to me, sir. Has anyone seen Lisa Frankenstein? It's my favorite movie so far this year. I haven't, but I really want to. I would really like to see it. It looks fun. It looks cute, and it looks just like a good time. So I'm glad that you like it because I'm hoping that it's exactly that. So to go to Spirit Awards for just a moment,
Yes.
this one attends. This one works Spirit Awards. And what's really fun is that my job does not start until the show starts. So what that means is I get there early because everybody working has to get there early. But then I just go hang out with my dad.
And I am
when
there.
He gets there.
I am there not only to attend, but to participate in the big schmooze.
The big schmooze.
Schmooze is one of those Yiddish words that is now becoming
Everyone
incorporated.
uses it.
And if you don't know what it means standing around and talking.
Thank God you explained. Otherwise, whatever would they? Schmoozing.
Schmoozing. Some people call it networking, which sounds too cold.
No, I don't like that.
Schmoozing.
Schmoozing. It's such a blast because it's so many different kinds of people. I mean, you said that the heads of
every major film festival were there.
Yeah.
We saw Eugene Hernandez,
who is now in charge of Sundance, but was at Film at Lincoln Center forever and ever and ever. And he's amazing.
We saw Claudette Godfrey.
Yes, Claudette Godfrey, my friend, who is now in charge at South by Southwest
in Austin,
where we will be heading. We met that nice woman who runs the Chicago
International Film Festival.
I emailed her. She didn't answer. I should go again in case it went into the spam box.
And I met a man who was the chairman of Lincoln Center, Film at Lincoln Center.
Yep, and then somebody he runs the Twin Cities Film Festival. It was just it's really fun and it's wild. And so at one point I had to leave to go and get something done, and I was going to come back and find my dad. I didn't know where he was. I saw our friend Larry Karaszewski, and I said, "Larry, have you seen my dad?" And he turns around, he looks for a second, and he points, he goes, "Oh, he's over there with Ted Sarandos." Ted Sarandos, I have to tell you, I know with all of the things that went on with the strikes, people have feelings, but I have to tell, he's just one of the nicest guys.
He is the co-president or co-chair
at Netflix
of Netflix,
and has been since he started working with Reed when he was 19, 20. That's when they met, as they were really, really young. And he helped him start to send out DVDs. Like from Reed's house, they were sending DVDs out, and that was Netflix. But yeah, it's just wild. But yeah, we've known Ted for a while now, and he's such a movie buff. First of all, he's a real movie buff. He's also just really nice and very sweet, and he'll give you a big hug. And it's just like, do you know that you are one of the people that runs Netflix? Because that's nuts. We had him on our podcast. You can listen to that episode.
Yes, he made time to do that.
We had him on the show.
Mark Evanier says the only film festival worth going to is Maltin Fest.
Well, you're not wrong, Evanier. And Stephen Payne says, Mark Evanier, you are a man of wit, taste, and judgment. Ain't he just? That Evanier of ours. Did you hear the Michael Moore Theater closed down in Michigan? Yeah, it's a whole thing. Michael Moore's not our favorite person. It's a whole thing. I won't get into it now because it's too long. So anyway, Spirit Awards. Part of what's really fun is seeing everybody come through and recognizing folks and going, oh my God, they're so-and-so, because the way that it works is they come off the carpet into this area. So the Spirit Awards are held at the beach in Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm. Under a gigantic tent.
A big old tent in one of the parking lots. If you've ever been to the Santa Monica Pier, the pier, let's say, is right here in front of you. If you're facing it, we are in the parking lot next to that. So there's a giant tent and then a bunch of
Near
little tents
near Marion Davies' old beach house.
very near. And it is, it's just kind of wild. And you never know if it's going to be hot or cold or raining or God knows what else,
Or windy.
or windy as hell. But it's a unique experience. So yeah, so people come off of the carpet and they come over and are just sort of standing. And so you can say hello and people are in a good mood. You're at the beach. It happened that it was a very beautiful day. It wasn't super hot. It was just perfect.
Just right.
And
Just right.
almost all of the sponsors, almost all the sponsors for the event are alcohol, various spirit companies.
All things I don't drink.
Yeah, so everybody's
Of
just,
no interest to me.
you're at the beach, you're a little drunk, you're
But there
having
was
a good time.
There was one booth though that had like snack bar candies.
Yeah, he found
That's the one.
candy. That's what you'd find though. Other people
I
are
found
going.
a box. I got a box of Raisinets.
You did, and I'm so proud of
I
you
figure
for
I'm
that.
ahead of the game.
You really are.
And I
You
got to
really
meet
are.
somebody I really did want to meet, Laura Karpman,
Mm,
who did the wonderful score for American Fiction.
yes.
And we had a nice little chat.
I was excited because, one of the hardest things in having our podcast now be virtual for the most part and having it be Zoom. On the one hand, it means we can talk to all kinds of people and we have access to folks that we might not otherwise have access to. On the other hand, it's Zoom. And so there is a wall. And, we
I mean,
were so
I mean,
lucky.
you're there, you're hearing them, you're seeing them.
Yeah.
It's better than a phone call, goodness knows.
Yeah.
But
But it's just the idea that you're not getting to have sort of a moment.
there's no warm up and cool down. There's no.
Yeah.
like-
But also just sitting with someone is so
Mhm.
different, and normally because it was us and our engineer and the person, it's like, it's us, it's Aristotle's our engineer, and this person, and we're sitting in this small room for an hour having a conversation, and it's special. And now, as I say, I'm grateful that we can do it at all via Zoom because almost everybody now wants to do everything Zoom. But it's just hard. So I was really excited because I got to meet Natalie Morales, who we'd interviewed, but not in person. I got to meet Cord Jefferson,
Who made American
who
Fiction.
made American Fiction, and gave him a big hug. There's a whole bunch of people that I finally got to see in real life and go, "Hi, I'm Jesse," and "Oh my gosh, it's nice to meet you." So I really appreciated that.
Harrison, a very good, fair question. How
Do
do
you
you
have
get?
to be a nominee, participant, or invited guest to attend the Spirit Awards nowadays? Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm there on a press pass.
You is press. There's press. There's the people who are nominated. There are the various.
And they sell the tables. This is a fundraiser.
Yeah.
I mean, no bones
It's
about it.
the fundraiser.
It's the fundraiser
you know.
for Film Independent, which
Yeah.
is a good organization that serves as a clearinghouse and a sounding board, a conduit for young, aspiring, not even young,
No, anybody.
independent filmmakers.
And they're doing more and more. They've expanded their board. Ted Sarandos is now on the board. Our friend Chaz Ebert is now on the board. So I'm really pleased with everything that they choose to do. Anyway, so once the show starts, a lot of things have changed. The first being that it is now live streamed. Now I learned something because I was hanging out with some of the sound guys, and we were talking about how difficult it is to live stream because nobody gets a break. So
Right.
it's not just the audience wants to get up and talk to each other. Everybody wants
Table
to say
hopping.
hi and hang out. So not only are they a little bit annoyed because they want to talk to each other, but also it means that for everybody working, there's no stop. There are no commercial breaks. There's
Yeah.
nothing.
And you have a fair-sized crew
Oh yeah,
because it's
running around
It's set up like a television show,
because it is
like a real broadcast.
Yeah, it is a real broadcast.
It is a real
It's just
broadcast.
broadcast. This year was on YouTube. But it's so interesting learning about
And-
that because I never thought about it. I
One-
never thought
and
about
one of the sponsors this year was IMDb Pro.
every year. IMDb has been one of the sponsors for a long, long time.
I know that.
Yeah.
I knew.
for a
Well,
long, long
she
time.
thinks she's telling me stuff I don't know, but I don't know. I just wanted to say that Cole Needham and his wife,
Our
who
friend
are
Carl
the
Needham,
founder.
who is the guy that founded IMDb, was there with his wife, as he always is. He's uh, he's so much fun. Again, an epic movie nerd. Like Carl is like he's, I think he might be worse than you. Like, yeah, absolutely adores it. He's a lot of fun to be around, and his wife too. They're both Karen. They're both just really, really lovely people. Yeah, IMDb always has the photo booth in the back, but
Oh,
they've
that's
been
right.
one of
Which
the
I
sponsors.
I never see that.
And then last year it was IMDb is the one that streamed it, and this year it's streamed on IMDb's YouTube channel. So yeah,
Yes.
IMDb for a long time. It's all right. He just shows up. He's not working. He doesn't pay attention. Um, but
I'm too busy schmoozing.
that's right. So my job in the last couple of years, usually when I work events like this, I do some kind of talent wrangling, which is to say that I have to get person from point A to point B. That might be at a smaller event, that might be taking talent down a red carpet, being the one who escorts somebody down the carpet. It could mean, in the case of this show, there are a number of people whose job it is to make sure that they keep an eye on the presenters. You have to make sure your presenter is taken backstage at the right time to go on and do whatever it is they have to do. My job is I'm really easy to see, and thusly I have become the person who gets people off stage. So,
Which they don't explain to the people on stage.
no, they don't, which is why
Jesse's job is to lead them from the side of the stage,
Yep.
down the steps,
Yep.
to the photo booth backstage.
Well, so the first stop is they're not given their real award on stage. They're given the prop award. So step one is we take them to the table where their real award lives. Problem is, because people are really excited, they don't, and nobody knows that it's not a real award. There's so many things they need to announce at the beginning of this show that they never do, and it makes me crazy. I've worked it for like 14 years now, and every year I go, nobody could say this, nobody could just explain these things to anyone. So what you end up having to do is you end up having to chase the person who's holding the award to stop them, take it away from them, and trade for the real award. In the case of Nick Offerman this year, because if you, let's say you're nominated in the next category as well, well, then you can't be taken back to press. You have to be reseated. Well, again, because they don't know that the award they're holding is not their award, they just go to sit down. So I had to wait for them to go into what's called a package, which is to say that it goes dark and they're showing something on the screen, where I then run across. I knew where he was sitting. It just happened that I had passed him and Megan Mullally. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to find them. They were in a really good spot. So I go running back. I say, "This is your real award." And Megan Mullally looks up at me. She goes, "What's the difference?" And I said, "This one has his name on it, and I think that's probably better." And they laughed, and I said, "Congratulations." And I took the prop award and went running backstage. It's just it's always chaos. But yeah, part of it is that this year they took away a curtain. They used to have a curtain I could sort of hide behind. This year they took that away. So this year I'm just full on standing in front of everyone, and I'm trying to get people off the stage. I'm holding their hands. They don't have railings. Why they don't have railings? It doesn't look good on TV. Sure, but them falling and killing themselves, that's going to look fantastic. So yeah, so it's me then offering my hand to these women wearing these high heels like you've never seen in your life, and just praying that they don't fall. It's just crazy, and it's a lot of fun. And part of the joy is because it's indie, because it is still indie. You have a number of folks who, you know, this could be their first time going to an award show like this.
Mm-hmm.
This could be their first time being in a room like this with so many people. A movie you like very much, Bottoms, was nominated.
Yes.
And their table was right across from where I was standing for most of it. They were drunk and living their best lives. They were so drunk and just having such a great time.
How drunk were
Oh,
you?
it was just hilarious. And they were just loving it. And it's just, as I say, getting to watch people. And then again, I'm the first one that gets to say congratulations. And I think I consider myself really fortunate, because what a cool moment to get to say to somebody, amazing job, please don't fall down these stairs.
They're lucky to have you, because you have a brain,
Well,
and you have experience.
Sometimes. When they brought up jury duty, Jury Duty got a special award, that show. There were 13 people on stage. And again, none of them have been told where they're going after the fact.
James Marsden among them.
Yes,
Yeah.
who's again a doll. But I then had to try to get 13 people backstage, and while they're trying to wander away, and I'm trying also not to just be on camera going like this, trying to get people. Yeah, it's as I say, it's a very funny and crazy thing to be a part of, but I love it deeply.
Somebody asked a little while ago, we're reading questions as they pop up here. Did I like the Hilary Swank movie? Yes.
Very much. And your review is on your website.
It's called Ordinary Angels, and it's very good. And from the description, and it's based on a true story that happened in the 90s in Louisville, Kentucky. And it's the headline we put on it was Cynics Beware.
Yeah.
Because there's no room for cynicism in this movie.
Mm.
It's just really good, really well done.
You were really taken with it. After you watched it, you were really emotional.
Very moved, and of course, I'm very vulnerable these days because I'm living with an evolving 2-year-old human, and so I'm sensitive, more sensitive than I might have been, say, 5 years ago.
Well, much more. You and Mommy both, when you watch certain films, if anything happens to a little kid in it, something like that, you're both much more sensitive, as we all are, because now even more there's a baby in the house. That's really cool. Somebody here says they worked day played on Jury Duty. You got to be on the show for a day.
Fun.
And then Ken says Jury Duty was amazing. I have to tell you, that whole cast was so nice. What an incredibly kind group of people.
We met several people.
They were so sweet and just really excited. And again, that's what I mean. It's so much fun to get to talk to people who are these movie lovers who are sitting in this tent and having a great time.
Some of them not only getting an award to put on their resume.
Yeah.
Some of them get cash too.
Yeah. Because is it the Cassavetes that has the prize money?
Someone to watch.
Yeah.
I think is.
There's prize money there. Has Daisy been to the Oscars? No. Can you imagine? That wouldn't end well. No, we'd never see her again. She'd get on stage and then we'd never see her again. We're going this coming week to get our credentials so that we can then do a little work from the carpet while it's being built. And that's always a blast. And I have to tell you, I debated. I thought, should I try to take Daisy on? Would it be really funny if we tried to take Daisy on? And then what I imagined were all those people who are still doing the construction, just like picking up hammers.
The security people at that week leading up to don't have a refined sense of humor.
That's true. That's fair.
I'm not saying they're nasty.
That's fair.
Not nasty.
That's
or
fair.
Unpleasant.
Yeah.
Just sober.
Yeah.
Very serious.
Well, they have all the crazies on Hollywood Boulevard coming over and going, "Can I go inside?" No, you can't. You cannot go inside. Stay. All I'm hoping for this year for the Oscars, because they haven't made a fuss about it, is that they put the carpet back to red. Josh Clement and I were talking about this the other day. That dirty, horrible, what do they call it? Champagne. It just looked beige. And all I kept hearing from our friends who were working the awards was how dirty it was. And on camera, it looked horrific. You remember this whole thing? Oh, we're changing how the awards are going to look this year. We're not using a red carpet. You know how we've had a red carpet for 400 years? No, we need beige. Who in their right mind thought beige was the way to go? And then they called it champagne, which is beige.
It's a good try. You got to give points for effort.
Do we?
Well,
it was so ugly. In person, it was ugly. On air, it was ugly. I do not, for the life of me, understand.
We may have told this before. I'm sure we have, actually. But maybe somebody will find this new and refreshing. If you follow awards shows at all, you know that there are seat fillers.
Yeah.
That's because it does look kind of odd if they cut to, and inevitably they do, cut to a shot of the audience.
Yeah.
And there's conspicuous.
Well, especially because most of the people who are gone are the people who win, and they're sitting right in the front.
Right.
You know,
it just looks funny. Oh, why is there an empty seat there in the third row? You know, so they have seat fillers. People who come, attractive people usually who are well dressed. You know,
attractive and well dressed.
Yeah. But the year that I worked the pre-show, we discovered that there are carpet fillers,
Mm-hmm.
people who stroll at a leisurely pace down the red carpet, particularly in the early part of the afternoon.
So it's not just empty.
So there aren't huge gaps as celebrities start to show up. Very funny. And what's funny is that I didn't know it.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, with love, you notice nothing.
Well, yeah, that's true.
The carpet could be on fire, and I'd say, Daddy, did you notice that the carpet was on fire? You turn around going, it was?
Huh?
Is the carpet on fire? What did you just notice about license plates the other day?
Oh, please leave me alone.
I'm sorry. He just doesn't know. Like it's scary at times how little he notices. I worry. I worry for you.
Oh well. One good thing about Dune is because I want to give credit where credit is due.
Sure.
As Michael does in his review.
Yes.
Jacqueline West.
Yes.
Made the costumes and all the jewelry.
Yeah.
And which is supposed to be futuristic,
Yeah.
but is based largely on Middle Eastern, sort of exotic traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And she supervised an enormous staff
Yeah.
crafting these costumes and pieces in Budapest, where they shot a lot of the film and where they prepped a lot of the film.
Yeah.
And that was my first. She came to my class Thursday night, and she was a wonderful guest, and has a very interesting background. Her mother was a fashion designer, like a name fashion designer, and she followed in her mother's footsteps at first in Berkeley, California, and then went into, and she was an art history major. So all of these things combined, that's her background. Very often when you meet a costume designer, they say, well, don't confuse fashion and costume.
Yeah.
They're two separate worlds. And so I've been very careful about that. But she actually straddled both.
It's very cool.
And she's up for an Oscar this year.
Yes.
For designing all the clothing in Killers of the Flower Moon, where again, there's a definite goal, being authentic.
Yeah.
Authentic to the period, authentic to the Osage nation, and to the the Caucasian members of the cast.
Yeah, it's wild. There's two things I want to go back to. One is Victoria said, "Why didn't Helen Mirren get any credit for her performance as Golda Meir?" Do you think it was political? Doesn't seem right. Well, it is. It is always strange, isn't it? How you'll see a movie, and especially someone like her, where she's a name.
She's a she's a dame.
She is a dame.
She's a former Oscar winner.
So
it's not like she could be easily overlooked.
Yeah, you don't forget that she's there.
And it's a really fine performance.
Yeah.
I
think the makeup got nominated for something. Mm-hmm. Like a couple of the awards that have happened, I think the makeup was nominated, but not her. Sometimes it just doesn't, and that is what blows your mind, is that you'll see something. I mean, you had a handful of movies that you saw this year that you really loved that got nothing.
Yeah. Ferrari
was one, and then is it Origin?
Yeah. Origin is perhaps the biggest oversight.
Yeah.
Ava DuVernay's movie.
Yeah.
Which she wrote, adapting the novel by Isabel Wilkerson, the best-selling novel by Isabel Wilkerson. It's such a good movie.
Yeah.
And deserves, I hope in the long run,
it'll get attention. Yeah.
It'll find its audience.
But it's just such a strange thing. As I say, you really just never ever know what's going to happen.
You cannot plot these things.
No, as much as they try, God knows they try.
Yeah.
They really just can't. No, my dad's class is not online. It's at USC and it is in person only. So unfortunately, that's
you got to enroll.
That's how it works.
You got to enroll.
You have to go to USC.
Got to go to USC. You got to take those GED courses.
No thanks. No thanks. Anyway, say this time of year, it's so funny because you'll see something in it. It just means the absolute world. And then it won't get any attention. And then something else that you really didn't like or didn't understand does really well. And you again kind of go, huh? I
wouldn't boot out any of the 5 leading actors.
No.
But I have to say that Adam Driver is exceptionally good in Ferrari.
But it's funny because half the reviews I read hate him and hate the movie,
Ha.
and the other half think it's great. Even Gray hated it. Gray thought it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
terrible. It, as I say, I mean, that's I've said this to you guys before because it is something that I always find really interesting to sort of look at. Is it's one thing if I like a movie and you like it a little bit more, or I don't like it and you don't dislike it as much as I do, but it's fine. But it's fascinating when you're on extreme ends. It's fascinating when somebody goes, "Oh my God, that movie was amazing. It's one of the best things I've ever seen," and you're over here like, "It was crap. What are you talking about?" And I just, as I say, it's like, let's talk about taste. You just don't know.
The night we saw it, Michael Mann was there to talk about it, and he was interviewed by Denis Villeneuve,
Mm-hmm.
who was a big admirer of Michael Mann's work.
Yeah. I laugh. There are times when we have been in the presence of really famous people whose stuff you don't like. And how do you explain, like, it just doesn't work for me? Same thing when you're at film festivals and you see these people up close. We both really did not like The Black Swan. Really did not like it. I think I can even go so far as to say I hated it. And I tried watching it again, and I've tried like 2 or 3 times over the
We
years.
saw it at the Telluride Film Festival. Its first screening. Maybe its first screening anywhere. I don't remember if it had been
Yeah.
at Venice or not.
We knew absolutely nothing
But
about
about
it.
like 40 minutes in, 45 minutes in, we're sitting, and like almost in unison, we turned to each other and went,
Which, P.S., is the same face we made when we watched Call Me by Your Name. We watched Call Me by Your Name here at home, and there came a point after an hour where we looked at each other and just went, "Why? Why is this happening?" And then I, with many expletives, said, "If they go swimming one more time, if they go swimming one more goddamn time." But yeah, watching Black Swan, you and I both, we were like, I hate this deeply. And then it ends, and we're listening to some of the Q&A, and the first woman, I don't know if you remember this, the first woman who gets up
yes.
is sobbing uncontrollably, going, "I was a ballerina, and this just means so much to me." And I was like, oh, because again, you don't know if people around you are hating it or loving it until it's over. It's not like a comedy where if people are laughing or not laughing, you kind of get a sense. With a
That
drama,
night-
you don't know till it's over. And I'm thinking, did everybody else hate this? Because I really hated it, and they did not. And
That
it was
night-
confusing.
That night we went to a party that usually we don't get to go to. And Darren Aronofsky came in and made a beeline for me. Came right up to me and said, "So, how'd you like the film?"
Well, Darren,
Well, Darren,
I
I think I
not
said
a lot, Darren.
you took us on quite a ride.
Yeah.
I think that was
It's
that
one
was
of your best. Yeah.
my better save.
I remember it happening because I was talking to several of our friends going, "You liked it?" I just don't, I don't understand. I don't. Yeah. It's one thing when a movie is difficult because of the subject matter. When you watch a movie about certain things, that's why it's funny sometimes to say, like, "Oh, I liked it." If you watch a documentary about war, what'd you think? "Oh, it was a lot of fun." It's not, that's not really how it works. But you can say it was incredible. I never want to watch it again because it broke my insides, but it was great. Then, then you have the movies where everybody is just like, "Wasn't that fantastic?" And you're just like, "No." And you don't really know what to say. And we always say to filmmakers, never ask. Because if somebody likes your movie, they are going to come right on over and say,
they're going to tell
"Hey,
you,
Darren, love that Black Swan." Otherwise, if they're not coming over to you, odds are not big fans. And it's safer to just not ask.
Now, a friend of mine has just been nominated for an award that I covet. I say it right out loud.
Mhm.
The Rondo.
Oh, well, yes.
My friend Eric Herland was one of the 4 people who did the commentary for the new Blu-ray 3D restoration of the notoriously awful Robot Monster. And they got nominated.
Mm.
So they may wind up with a Rondo. Now, what is a Rondo, you may ask? Well, you may ask. Well, it's named after Rondo Hatton, an actor who had a brief flirtation with fame in the 1940s, mostly at Universal Pictures, where they exploited, there's no other word for it, they exploited his misfortune. He had a glandular condition called acromegaly, which elongates certain features.
Mm-hmm.
And he starred in a movie called The Creeper. He's in one of the Sherlock Holmes movies. And he had a brief, brief Hollywood career. And he is, he can you be homaged? I don't want to do that. It's the English language. But he's paid tribute in the movie The Rocketeer.
Mm.
I think that Rick Baker had something to do with that.
That sounds like a Rick Baker thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so there's a rondo named after him, and the award is a sculpture of his face.
Of his face.
His memorable face.
Ain't that exciting? See, this is okay. So Lynn is saying that she watched All of Us Strangers last night, and it's a beautiful film, but it broke me. Well, that's what I mean. It's that kind of thing where you watch it and you go, that was beautiful, and I never need to watch it ever again. Shannon is saying, I felt that way about Maestro and Oppenheimer. Don't understand the acclaim, found Maestro so dull and lifeless. Well, there's another. My dad and my mom absolutely loved Maestro. They thought that Bradley Cooper was fantastic. They thought the movie was fantastic. And then a lot of people didn't. And, is it because you already have a connection to the real person, to the music, that it already sits somewhere in your heart?
Yeah.
Well, I have friends who didn't know any of that and loved the film. I have friends that did know and didn't like it at all. Oppenheimer, same thing. I've had some people say, oh, I just thought it was incredible. I've had some people say it's way too long and boring. So that is the thing about, watching any of it. You just never know. You just really never know what someone else is going to feel about it and what it's going to feel like for you. And that's why we always say that with when someone says that they like my dad as a film critic, it usually means that they agree with him.
Yeah.
Not always, but it tends to be, we have a similar similar taste.
Yeah.
So
similar sensibilities.
And obviously for all of us, you may know if your partner or your parents or your kid is going to like something. You go, oh, you know what, this is really them. I think they'll like it. Unfortunately, we can't do that as a blanket for the world. So I don't know what someone's going to like or not like. And it really can be kind of everywhere. A few folks asked some really great questions. This one, Dennis says, as soon as the credits roll, how many days does it take you to gather your thoughts, write, and publish a review?
It varies from film to film, and it depends too. Am I at a film festival where I'm seeing lots of things, or am I on a weekend where I'm packing one movie after another?
Yep.
If I'm going to be seeing another movie right away, then I really want to write at least a first draft to get my thoughts out.
Well, you start by recording a voice recording.
Yeah.
If we're at a film festival and you're seeing a bunch of stuff, then you do voice recordings, just because it's the fastest way to sort of get those feelings somewhere and keep track of them.
But other times it can be days. I live with it, in my head. And then I sit down and try to, collect those thoughts in a coherent way.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that, what I find with you is that sometimes I'll read what you've written. It tends to be, if you love a movie, I can tell immediately you love it. And if you hate it, I can tell you hate it. It's when you're not sure how you feel that sometimes I'll read something back to you and I'll say, so did you like it or not? And you go, well, yeah, I guess I liked this, but I didn't like that. And I'll say, well, because the review reads like you didn't like anything. And I'll go, oh, okay.
She's a good editor.
Well, but part of me being a good editor is that I have a sense of what, what needs to be there for you. But also just when you're writing about reviews there, we just may not notice that we haven't said flat out, yes, I liked, no, I didn't. And for me, yeah. And where that gets really tricky, of course, is for something like Rotten Tomatoes, where I said, my dad, is it rotten or is it fresh? And as we know, most movies are neither one or the many movies are sort of like, it's a couple of day old tomato. Yeah. It's a tomato that's seen better days. It's different. Are you guys going to do live commentary during the Oscars this year? No. So we're going to be at South by Southwest. Last year, the Oscars decided to have the Academy decided to have the Oscars. I'll get there. Same weekend as the opening weekend of South by Southwest. They called the woman who was in charge of film at that time, Janet Pearson, and apologized profusely because of XYZ. We had to choose this date. We promise it will never happen again.
Until this year.
Cut to this year. So it is really hard, to be honest, to figure out what to do, you know? But we love going to South by. We haven't been able to go between COVID, and then last year we were supposed to attend, and then a friend of ours passed away the day we were supposed to fly. And I just didn't want to leave. I just wanted to be home and deal with the emotions of it, which I also can't believe it's a year since he died.
Yeah. It's
almost a year, which is crazy. So we will, as I say, we will be going this coming week. We will go to the carpet. We'll get our credentials. We'll go on the carpet and sort of just take some pictures and do some videos around there, because it's really fun to sort of be there and be in the middle of
feel the vibe,
the crazy.
Yeah.
But then on Friday we fly to Austin for South by Southwest. Saturday at 6 p.m. we will be interviewing Frank Oz. We will be doing a live show. We always do live shows at South by, and we'll be interviewing Frank Oz in front of a 300-seated audience, and I'm really excited about it.
Me too.
We were supposed to interview Frank in 2020 at South by.
Yeah. Then came the pandemic
what
thing.
happened that we couldn't do that?
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to sit with him. And then hopefully, if things come together, we'll be interviewing someone else on Monday, but we'll see if that happens or not.
So you observe one interesting thing about Frank Oz. A nice man, very well spoken, and of course, his experiences are so vast.
Yeah.
In our culture, in our popular culture, certainly. But he's not a guy who does voices. Some people who are professional voice actors for cartoons will do a medley of their hits at the drop of a hat.
Yep.
That's not him.
Frank will not. I'll tell you what it is. He's not an entertainer. That's really, I think he's not an entertainer.
He's an actor.
An actor, a creator, all these different things.
He wears many hats, of course.
I think part of it is, and he knows this, is all you have to do is say it once. As in, if somebody says, "Can you do Miss Piggy?" He does it once, and then he has to do it for everybody.
Just as one of the rules of Muppetdom is never let anybody see the Muppets au naturel.
Yeah.
They only exist when a Muppet performer is performing.
And it's funny, but if you've ever seen, it's going to sound funny, I know this. If you've ever seen somebody, a puppeteer, in person doing it, it's kind of mind-blowing how you really can have a conversation with a puppet.
Yep.
And how slight movements, again, if you haven't seen, is it Being Elmo? Becoming Elmo? Being Elmo.
Being Elmo.
Being Elmo? Being Elmo. It's a really fantastic movie and great documentary. And they talked about little things like, so when your face is here, if you kind of like pull down a little bit, it kind of scrunches the eyes and creates this very funny expression. But, seeing them come to life, you really, there's an emotion to it.
Yeah.
There's a real emotion to it. And you understand why we all have the feelings we do. Here's my 2-year-old watching the same characters I watched, watching some of the same characters you watched. How? Taking Daisy to Disneyland, and she sees Minnie and Mickey walking down the street and loses her mind. And I do too, in a way, because I look and I go, oh, it's Mickey Mouse. These things are so emotionally connected for most of us that you're able to suspend that disbelief in a really beautiful way, because it's okay. You can look at Elmo when Elmo is performing and your heart just feels happy. And that's a great thing, It's yeah, I love all of that.
How your mother feels about Fozzie Bear.
Oh, who doesn't love Fozzie? Fozzie's a good one. No, there's as I say, there's so much to puppeteering, and the beauty of it, which yeah, it always gets me. Ryan says, I greatly enjoyed your recent newsletter discussing physical media. I agree with you that Disney Movie Club was the last hope for diehard Disney fans. Could buy copies of vintage Disney movies and TV shows. I'm interested to know if there's anything that you wish was released.
Everything that isn't released,
Yeah.
which covers a lot of ground. An awful lot of the material
Yeah.
that we included in our 37 volumes of Walt Disney Treasures, those tin special editions that I hosted and co-produced. Very little of that is available in any other form.
Well, that's so somebody else with that says, with more companies moving away from physical media and removing shows/movies from streaming services to save money, are we at a point where movie history is in real danger of being lost forever? Well,
some of movie history will be lost, and that's why I wrote that essay for our Patreon column. And that's disturbing. It's like being told, well, we have most of Shakespeare's plays.
Yeah,
you know,
we lost a few. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
A couple of Arthur Miller's early works, just
you didn't need them anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's well, again, thankfully there are a lot of archivists who work very hard to make sure that won't happen. Whether it's transferring, let's say something is on film, transferring it to a VHS or transferring it to a DVD or a Blu-ray or whatever. They keep trying to have it so that, we will have access. The reality, though, of course, I mean, I'll tell you, this came up. So somebody was talking the other day about transformative actors. And I thought of Gary Oldman. And I realized that I hadn't seen Sid and Nancy in a really long time, and I kind of wanted to rewatch it. And I went to look, and it's only available on something I can't even. It's not Roku. It's like something within Roku. That's the only place. Or you buy it. You buy a DVD.
Yeah.
Which is not the end of the world. Buying it is not the end of the world. But it's,
but you shouldn't have to purchase it just to see it.
Yeah. Well, and especially because the copies that are available are like $30.
Yeah.
And, I don't particularly wish to own it. Again, it's not the end of the world if I do have to buy it, but it's just the idea that, considering that there's so much available to us, there's also a lot that's not available and can be difficult to find. I'm still annoyed that we have the issues that we do with watching stuff in different countries. There's so many British shows that I love, and the only way to watch them is if somebody sort of records them to YouTube, or you get a VPN, and the whole VPN thing is it's a headache. It's crazy with all the technology that there's still barriers. And yeah, keep buying and keep whatever you want, and don't throw stuff away. Sometimes my dad will say to me, do I really need this? Yes, keep them all. Keep them all.
This is a little, I don't have anything for show and tell today, really. But last week I showed you, or the week before, I showed 78 RPM record albums made by Hollywood stars for the post-World War II baby boom kiddie market. And this is a flyer. It's really a mini catalog of all of the records that Decca, one of the biggest companies in the field.
Craig, Chloe Webb was on Shameless, a number of seasons of Shameless, and she still works quite a bit.
Here's A Christmas Carol. Ronald Colman as Scrooge, not
A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, adapted by George Wells. Ronald Colman as Scrooge, with a supporting cast, sound effects, and music.
Yes, because it was akin to a radio show.
Yeah.
And here's the whole cast, including Hans Conried as the second ghost, Gail Gordon as the third ghost. Others include Alice in Wonderland with Ginger Rogers, and music by Victor Young, who also did the music here. The Case of Amontillado. Amontillado.
Mm.
Story by Edgar Allan
I
Poe.
think you have to be drunk to read it.
Yeah, with Sidney Greenstreet. A whole bunch.
This is delicate. This is mightily delicate. I felt it tear when I touched it. I was like, no, 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 no. No, 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 no.
Treasure Island with Thomas Mitchell. George Wells, who produced these, also, I believe, wrote the scripts for Lux Radio Theater for many years, which were 1-hour adaptations of popular movies. So he had a lot of experience at doing this. And I wish I had more of them at hand.
Yeah. So much stuff. Cheryl's asking a good question. The GIF I used today for the post is Doris Day and Calamity Jane, and they're asking if you ever had the pleasure of meeting her, which you did.
I spent a lovely afternoon with her in the early 1990s. It was her last real public appearance. She opened
that picture of the two of you is so sweet. It's such a good shot.
It's a wonderful shot. And the mayor of Carmel, Clint Eastwood, stopped by. It was a fundraiser, of course, for
That's where she was living.
For the Doris Day Animal League.
Which is in Northern California.
And Entertainment Tonight sent me there with a camera crew, and I did a formal interview with her and found her to be, she was charming and fun, but not highly anecdotal. And that's no mark of shame against anybody. But of course, as an interviewer, you're hoping always that they have stories to tell.
Yeah,
that was not her. That was not her forte. And I think I asked her about Cuddles Sakal.
Of course you did.
And she said he was just that was him.
Old Cuddles. You know how he is. So funny. Have you seen Shogun yet? I've heard it's going to be the next big show. So one of my best friends is obsessed with it. My husband and I started watching it last night. I think my brain is too fried to be able to handle it right now, but I know people are really, really into it. It's a new show.
Yeah, I know.
On the television.
From the novel by James Clavell.
Yeah. Veronica's obsessed. Veronica's been watching it, and she's obsessed.
Now, here's Sidney Poitier, who I was fortunate enough to meet on several occasions, and who came to my class on an unforgettable night.
You want to talk about beautiful people? My God. He carried himself with such elegance. He just, you talk to him and you just sort of would go.
And he came from nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dirt poverty.
That's what I say, by the way, manners are free.
Yeah. I wanted to show the Defiant Ones, the one where he and Tony Curtis are manacled together. They escape from a chain gang. He didn't want to show one of the provocative films for his career. So we showed To Sir with Love. His choice. And a film I like. And so there was no chore to show that or to expose my kids to it. And it was directed by James Clavell, who didn't have a big filmmaking career, but he did that one movie. I think he did a couple. And I asked Mr. Poitier about him as a director. He really didn't have anything much to say. And again, it's not a criticism, it's just a fact.
Yeah. 1 second. Oh, there you go. Happy birthday, Bobby Driscoll. Do you have any insight on why he hasn't been named a Disney legend yet? Because Disney sucks at naming legends. Did I say that out loud? Whoops.
You can't say that, darling.
Can't I?
No,
a little bit.
They've honored.
No. Let's put it this way. Before D23 started, I think that they were really great about naming their legends. Once D23 happened, as in the convention and everything else, that's when they started doing more and more folks from ABC and stuff that isn't really like Disney legend.
Organically Disney.
Yeah. So I think Oprah's swell. I don't think she's a Disney legend. So I stand by my comment.
She's a television legend.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. She's done amazing things. She's not a Disney legend. So I don't like a lot of the people they choose because I think that they're now trying to get into all their other entities, which doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, they haven't named David Ogden Stiers, I know. And yeah, there's a lot that are strange. But yeah, that's how I feel. I wish they would name more of the people, especially the ones who are still alive. especially since that is, wearing down, and it would be nice for the right people to be honored. Did you wish animation film archivist Jerry Beck a happy 69th birthday last month? I'm saying that only because I can't believe Jerry's 69. Because you
That
guys have been friends.
that's not possible.
You guys have been friends.
That doesn't compute.
For
50 years.
50 years? Yeah. Yeah.
Bobby Driscoll was partly responsible for Richard Fleischer being hired by Walt Disney to direct 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Why? Because Richard Fleischer directed a lovely film that unfortunately is not in circulation right now called The Happy Time with Charles Boyer, Marcia Hunt, and Bobby Driscoll. And Walt said, anyone who get a good performance out of Bobby Driscoll must be a talented guy.
Ay. Oh, hi. Well, there you go. Hi, Tony. Hello, dear friend. Yeah, see, they agree with me on the Legends thing, so just saying. No, look, we've talked about this before. If you're somebody that grew up with Disney, as we have, as many people have, it's hard because as the company sort of it's like calling Star Wars Disney, and you go, Star Wars isn't Disney, because it's not. They own it now.
Kind of like Warner Brothers claiming the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, and you go, that's not how that works.
Yes, you own it.
Yes.
We all accept the fact.
Yeah,
you own it.
You do now own it.
But you didn't make it.
You did not. You didn't do that. So yeah, I don't understand. I don't think I'll ever understand that kind of stuff. They just announced the other day that Warner Discovery is no longer trying to purchase Paramount. It's like, good. Keep them separate. It's bad enough that everybody owns everybody. It's confusing, and it just makes a mess, It really does just make a mess. And
well, from our point of view, we're on the sidelines. We have no horse in this race.
I do. Friends keep losing jobs.
Well then.
That to me is a big deal, that so many folks keep losing their jobs. And it's constant. I mean, that's the thing. It's constant. I heard from another group of friends who were just I know that you're not fired. Fired is better than laid off, or fired is worse than laid off, because laid off means you didn't get fired. Except at the end of the day, you don't have a job. So you can call it whatever you'd like to call it. So many people do not have jobs. And part of the frustration for me is that so many of the folks who are working have no training in the job that they're doing. But you can pay them almost nothing, and then that's okay. It's a whole, don't get me started.
Looks like we just did.
I know, it's hard.
Looks like we just
Look,
did.
we know so many talented people, who work so hard and have really honed their craft, whatever their craft may be. And so I just want them to get to do what they do well. And I want them to be able to make a living doing it, because it's like you say, a number of people actually brought up physical media today in questions, a whole bunch very similar. It's like, yeah, if you don't have something after a while, then what? If you say, well, no, I can stream everything, so I don't need to have 50 DVDs. Well, but then if they stop streaming, then what? That's why, I will always be a book person. I want to own a book. To me, my mom and I are both super dyslexic. We have really serious dyslexia. And so my mom has taken to listening to books on tape. My thing is, if I do that, I still want to own the book, just because I like the idea of having a book on my shelf. I love being able to look at the books on my shelf. I don't know if you know this phrase, but when you take a picture of your bookshelf, it's called a shelfie.
Yes.
Big fan of that term.
I actually did know that.
Shelfie.
I actually do know.
Man, oh man.
So there.
Anyway, we will not be here next weekend because we will be at South by Southwest.
And we'll be interviewing Frank Oz and not thinking about you guys. Not at that moment. We're going to be so keyed up.
Well, it's a Saturday as well, which means we wouldn't be, because there'd be different things. But on Sunday, when we're all watching the Oscars, I look forward to speaking to you guys again the following week, and we can try to catch up and see what all happened.
Because we do treasure you folks. Mm-hmm. We really do. The fact that you show up, even with our intermittent schedule, we love talking to you. We love having the feedback that we get, the instant feedback. It's really meaningful to both of us. And thank you.
What he said. Everybody take care. We'll
See you
talk
in
to you
2
soon.
weeks and be kind.
Hi, Daisy.